passed by the Parliament of Ghana and assented to by the President. That was not the enacting formula. And I think it has worked for us. So please, hold your peace. It will come sooner than later. Civil society is getting restless again, but I want to assure them that they know my passion in this matter, and I want to get it properly passed so that implementation becomes easier. There are a few things that our attention has been drawn to, which we will work on together here, so that when we pass the bill, it's a bill that is accepted by all, and we will definitely obey the prescriptions of the bill. So please, I thank you all for your contributions.
I want to assure you that this side of our house is ready to start all over again. So, Mr. Speaker, like I indicated, we are in your hands. Give us directives what you think. I am told that the bill was never transmitted to the presidency. So if the bill was not transmitted to the presidency to be assented to after it had been passed by this House, Mr. Speaker, it creates quite a legal issue. So I thought that we should wait for you to come and give us some direction on the matter, and then we can proceed. But let me give every assurance that we are ready to pass this bill as a House on this side. And let me also give you assurance that I have personally spoken with the President, and he has no hesitation to sign if this Parliament should pass the bill. Unlike his predecessor, who did everything to avoid giving assent to this bill, including threatening Parliament. I am surprised that a sitting president has threatened the legislature and nothing has been done about it.
Hepatitis B immunoglobulin is a critical life-saving intervention administered to newborns within the first 12 hours.
We will be happy that at the appropriate time, some of these issues are shared with us, Mr. Speaker, because for us, this is a very important matter, and I'm happy that you have brought it to a peaceful rest, considering the unyielding posture our friends opposite me took on this matter, even where we were proposing some amendment for safe landing and we had had discussions. They never supported it. And in a hot afternoon, they decided to hang us with that bill, and they were partisanly political with it. So if today, as Mr. Speaker has put it, they themselves have realized that the bill they passed was problematic, and they would want to, yes, that their attention, if today they have seen that the attention has been drawn to some excesses in the bill, however too late in the day, it is good that they themselves have come to that realization. But Mr. Speaker, we wait patiently for that day. But Mr. Speaker, our friends must know that sometimes when they place a rat poison on another man's tongue, it will not take too long for they themselves to taste that rat poison. We are patiently waiting for this LGBT bill. We are patiently waiting for the corrected version.
One union has all the world's parliaments and legislatures being part of it, and that is the Inter-Parliamentary Union. And as far as the 1950s, a bloc was formed out of that, which is the Africa Geopolitical Bloc, which is made up of the 52 African parliaments. And last week, they unanimously elected our speaker as the chairperson of that bloc. And I want to convey a message of congratulations of this House to the Right Honorable Speaker. Your continued election to lead major continental associations of speakers is testimony to the fact that you have become a colossus when it comes to parliamentary diplomacy globally.
Government is broke, but people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. This is Good Morning Ghana on the Metro Television. The show is also live on 94.1 FM. My name is Audu Moro. Most thanks to the Almighty God for giving us another day. We're hale and hearty. We're back again to join the nation's conversation on the big issues that are making the rounds in our dear country, Ghana. We also want to say a big thanks to all of you who tune in every day at 7 a.m. to watch the show. We're grateful. Without you, we don't have a show. And so keep tuning in to Good Morning Ghana every day at 7 a.m. It runs from 7 to 10. And please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that this is what the real conversation, intellectually stimulating, very riveting, and very, very productive conversations about Ghana happens. So I'll go straight ahead and look at what the newspapers are reporting this morning. I'm talking about the newspaper headlines. And I'll start with the Daily Graphic. The Daily Graphic this morning says the city hits 60th milestone. Vice President called for safeguarding currency's integrity. GNPC pushes ahead to take charge of oil projects. President announces state funeral for Nana Kudejo Ajiman Rawlings. ADB records 154% profit growth, hits 447.49 million cedis pre-tax profit in 2025 third quarter. Perhaps, I guess that congratulations are in order for Mr. Ato Sapon and his team. You're doing such a fantastic job at ADB, but we need to do some catching up one of these days. There's Vice President Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman in a hearty interaction with Dr. Johnson Isiama. I'm talking about the city hitting 60th milestone. The anniversary was celebrated yesterday at the Accra International Conference Center. So that's with the Daily Graphic. I'll go to the Daily Searchlight. The Daily Searchlight says no structural failure as Roman Reach project sites DefTraco. Ghana's airports to shut down as Airfare Traffic Safety Electronics Association declares impending strike. A woman burns private parts of girl 7 for bedwetting. This is sad and barbaric, eh? Victory Bible Church partners ANMA to fix Awoshi Road. Regional balance could be delaying appointment of Defense Minister, according to Odro. The Business and Financial Times, Dr. George Elombi takes over as Afreximbank's 4th president and pledges deeper impact. GEF 2025 to focus on currency stability, structural reforms. CD at 60, BOG sees CD as symbol of resilience and economic rebirth. Fidelity Bank named Bank of the Year. The Ghanaian Times, CD at 60, let's sustain stability. Vice President. President Mahama, wife, visit family of Nana Kunedu. Ghana will forever remain part of me, Lebanon ambassador. And there's 4 billion cedis injection strengthens NHIA, Chief of Staff. Court dismisses interlocutory injunction application by Daddy Lumbe's widow. The Daily Guide. Paul Afoko declares bid for MPP national chairman position. Daily Guide Network announces new appointments. Gay Bill died with aid Parliament Speaker. Barry Daddy Lumba as scheduled court. State burial for Nana Konadu. Wontumi escapes bench warrant. The New Crusading Guide. Victory Bible Church partners ANMA to fix Awishi roads. NPP flag-bearer race. Ashanti youth go wild for Brian Champong. Roman Ridge building collapse. No structural failure at project site. Def Traco. Aviation engineers down tools tomorrow over empty promises. Martin Kwebu secures deal for Trasaco over Pantang lines. Woodfields petitions Accra Police Commander over corporal's alleged misconduct and land guardism. And as DCOP, Tei Kujo promoted to COP transferred to head PBSB. The Insight. Youth factor elevates MPP's Brian in Ashanti. Palestine, seeking Ghana's leadership guided by African liberation spirit for justice. U.S. President Trump chooses war over diplomacy in the Caribbean. Egypt ready to partner and support Ghana's Eco-Technical Institute ambassador assures. GHS champions early breast cancer detection and treatment to beat avoidable fatalities. Asafo Chair Tete Okudzeto Weku announces crucial meeting to appoint substantive clan head. The Informer. Substance more important than numbers, Afenyo Marking argues. Nana Konadu to receive full honors. Mahama apprehensive of possible coup, Domilevo reveals. Haruna seeks support of parents to enforce hairstyles and dressing code at SHS. Why Ghana's political class fears the OSP, Kwamina Ahin writes. The Inquisitor. As retirement gets closer, Yohonu must go rolled out. Government committed to city stability after forcing on CD at 60. GPRTU wants Amwakwata probed. Metro TV host warns prophets. The Herald. Health Minister blows cover of $100 million NHIA light wave record scandal today. Helicopter crash. Report completed but yet to reach Mahama. Forensic audit uncovers 2.4 billion cedis loss at NSA. Cites fraud, weak control, manual overrides. Ghana Water shuts down $126 million desalination plant. There's also Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings gets state burial. The Ghanaian Publisher. Afenyo Marking. Ayine undermining justice. Akufo-Addo rallies Africa to ditch aid. Samira storms Central. Bolere, Jocelyn Dumas, front gold board jewelry. Ex-myth balls, how Africa can win big from records gold prices. The Metro Lens, special supplement, NHIA stakeholders conference inside. Chief of Staff endorses NHIA illegal payment task force, commends leadership for reforms. Africa's Democracy Union crowns Akufo-Addo for upholding rule of law. Samira hits the trail for Baumia. Gold board jewelry appoints Bolere, Jocelyn Dumas and as brand ambassadors. The Accra Times. Paul Afoko seeks to lead MPP again as chairmanship race heats up. Nana Konadu, mother for all, Speaker Bagwin to children and family, says her works impacted not only Ghana but the world. Gold board grabs Bolere, Jocelyn Dumas as new brand ambassadors. The Custodian. Samira Wu Central Region delegates for Baumia. Paul Afoko joins MPP national chairmanship race. Stop your unlawful media trial, Minority tells AG. There's DUA honors Akufo-Addo for upholding rule of law. Gold board jewelry picks Bolere, Jocelyn Dumas as a brand and ambassadors, and Samira Wu Central Region delegates for Baumia. And then the Daily Post, which is the last but obviously not the least, definitely not the least. Stop pricing goods and services in US dollars. Ato forcing. Mahama announces state burial for the late Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings as his science book of condolence opened in her memory. The internet never forgets. Old video exposes chairperson of PAC, Abena Osei Asari. as Goldmore Jewelry appoints Bolere and Jocelyn Dumas as brand ambassadors. All right, so that's it for the newspaper banner headlines. And stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. But check out what's on Metro TV online.
Hello, my friends. My name is Calcate Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Calcate. Happy smile.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety. Creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, Asamo.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Femi Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Femi once now.
Hey, that's on you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the accent. Maybe the sasso spray. Mr. Femi sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso. Sasso, come and tum preco.
Abina. Edi asema, menya oden. O tianti mu amanfo ada. O hye me boso obeto phone na mame. Me phone na say dada. Menya oden.
The most surprised man.
Surprise ben.
Surprise.
Hey, Kofi Papa. Your phone o. iPhone 13. Nanya ne?
Ende, me fankofo bi mienu. Amuko circle. Ene ba ko ni ka chena dan for hour. Ono odi ni Ghana card. Eko EBA phone so a. Otua 40% pen edi ni phone man no a. Da aka no betua ni kakra. Timothy ya me drop na me so me call ho ana me kwanya wo phone de bre wo no.
Oh, Kofi Papa me da say. I'm sure.
Wo EBA phones hadie, yeton iPhones ne ho akade nyina. Ye sanso de ma wholesale. So ye dealer na so pedodo atua. Anase afi na wo hye iPhone business na sia. Braya sia ye, hwehwe ye chiwa kwan e wo Accra Circle Mall. Any Tiptoe Lane, modern photos in chain. American Monso, ye ni Odor Rice ene di nhwenim. Kumase ye wedum ejekuma brunsan nim. Obetumi so hu ye e wo www.
Ande saba e wo mo bodi ni ma nke kwana mo ba.
O ko se ena me di asemesio kanene pa no na saa na me so ya na wo de me edure na adi me nkwa no Kingdom Garlic Bitters.
No benefit
me benefit wan oso kwato wo de
abrewa this mama abrante me shuve wonante kakra na wabre nom Kingdom Garlic Bitters ene ne capsules nenya hoden abre bia
Kingdom Garlic Bitters ene ne capsules
asembia anye ho
edeben we hu ama wani agise senior na me wife company won personal Kingdom Ginseng Power Capsules nti sesia mpaso aye de
Kingdom Ginseng Power Capsules emani tie ni asumdie befi abre bia oba bia o de pua hawo no edro ba kupa wo hia ne Tremendous Capsules. Tremendous Capsules esiesie wo ma wo ye oba asima enro yi wo benya bi wo ba bia yeton nro bia Kingdom Herbal no challenger.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
God Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey.
Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy,
Simple direction. Mr. Good Luck no check me way.
Yeah,
man.
Easy gra. Or dial star 712 hash.
The devil is a liar.
He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
How much birthday?
Oh, how romantic!
And he followed the prompt, yes. And then boom, confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, do you have family payment? Before December, may release a motivational album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
In the rush of deadlines, in the hum of studio lights, sometimes we forget what matters most.
I share stories every day, but this one carries the weight of every woman that ever fought.
I tell stories every day, but some stories hit closer to home.
My mom beat breast cancer twice. So yeah, this lens, it tells her story too.
Early detection saves life, and silence is no more an option.
To the women who light up our stories with your strength, we honor you.
Breast is good. Let's protect it.
This is not just an event, it's a movement. Every ribbon, every voice, and every step counts.
Every budget, every coin, we back the cause because fighting breast cancer is worth every investment.
To every fighter, every loved one, every survivor, we see you, we walk with you, we stand beside you.
This October, we are not just raising awareness, we are showing up together. Get your pink on, join the fight.
I am therefore inviting you to join us at the AMA Gardens in Accra Central near the Tema Station on the 31st of October 2025, 10 a.m. prompt. Come and let's have our breast screened as you enjoy free general health screening and good music. Let's give hope to breast cancer patients. Get your pink on. Join the fight. You're still watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My guests are seated here. Anyway, my name is Audu Humoro. My guests are seated here, and one is a regular on Wednesdays unless something comes up or he's incapacitated. Otherwise, he's always here. I'm talking about our one and only uncle, seasoned journalist and former managing editor of the Insight newspaper. He's also an elderly statesman. I'm talking about Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And also joining us is Mr. Kwadwo Nsafo-Apoku, who is with the Institute for Energy Policy and Research and also a member of the New Patriotic Party. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. How's the family?
The family is well. It's not that you get to join Uncle Kwesi on the show. I've seen the likes that have been on this show, and I think it's a privilege to be here on a Wednesday because I think he's gotten the Wednesday for himself. So everybody it's more of his show on a Wednesday than your show.
Oh. I hear you, sir. It's been on for almost 23 years.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's his show more than your show. On a Wednesday, it's his show.
That's true. I know Kwesi won't say anything about this. He won't have an opinion to express on this. So we'll just go straight ahead and look at the big issues that are making the rounds as we always do. So yesterday there was a big event at the Accra International Conference Center. The CD turned 60 on the 19th of July 2025, but it was officially, launched yesterday at the Accra International Conference. And thankfully and understandably, Metro TV was asked to partner the Central Bank of Ghana to bring to our listeners and our viewers what was happening yesterday at the Accra International Conference Center. And there were many other events that have been lined up by the Bank of Ghana to commemorate this auspicious occasion. And so we brought Good Morning Ghana to our viewers yesterday from the conference center. It was a fantastic event, and most of the newspapers have reported it. There have been different angles that have been reported, predictably from by the newspapers. And so perhaps we'll look at what the Ghanaian Times is saying. We'll start with that as our first topic, and then there'll be many more issues to look at. So the vice president was there. In fact, the president was billed to appear at the event or to turn up for the event and give a speech, but we don't know what happened. The vice president came, the president wasn't able to come. But at the same time, the president was at the residence of the former First Lady, Anakonedo Agyeman-Rawlings, in fact, the longest serving former First Lady of this country, and to come respect to the family, etc. So the Ghanaian Times said, CD at 60, let's sustain stability. That's according to the vice president, and the story is on page 12 of today's Ghanaian Times. And it says that Agnes Opoku-Sarpong and Kingsley Asare are reporting that the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has launched the 60th anniversary celebrations of the Ghana at 60, calling on Ghanaians to work together to preserve the hard-won stability of the national currency. Reflecting on the history of the city, the Vice President said it was in July 1965 that Ghana replaced the British pound, shillings, and pence with its own currency as part of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's vision to free the economy from colonial control. Now, by adopting the cedi, Ghana sent a signal that our history did not begin with colonialism, that independence and sovereignty may be found in our ability to express value and transact on our own terms. And speaking at the ceremony in Accra yesterday to officially open the cedi at 60 celebration, the Vice President said the stability of the cedi should not be viewed as a technical economic matter, but as a shared national responsibility that affects every Ghanaian. The stability of the cedi is a collective responsibility. Governments, institutions, and citizens all have roles to play in protecting what we have rebuilt. She noted that after years of economic challenges, the cedi had made an impressive recovery. According to Bloomberg, the Ghana cedi, branded the worst performing currency in the world in 2022, became in 2025 the best performing currency globally. Inflation, she added, had fallen from a high of 51.1% to 13.7%, while gross international reserves had risen to over $12 billion. Now, confidence is returning to the markets, to investors, and slowly but surely to our people. Professor Opoku-Agyeman stressed that maintaining the recovery required discipline, transparency, and a commitment from all sectors, adding that confidence must be maintained with sound decisions, transparent actions, and accountable policies. She urged the government to lead by example through real fiscal discipline, realistic revenue targets, efficient spending, and long-term planning. And he says no more reckless borrowing for surging. And then there's a very interesting story. And the reason why I'm reading this story, because there's some development, there was some development yesterday where a very regular viewer of Good Morning Ghana sent me or contacted me and had to express some concerns about some developments at the Ghana Airport Company Limited. And so I'll bring that up after reading this. Now, the Finance Minister, Ato Forson, says stop pricing goods and services in US dollars. Now, and this is in today's Daily Post. The story is right here. I think I was reading it this morning. Okay, so that's it. It's on page 4. It says Finance Minister Dr. Kassel Ato Forson has cautioned businesses and the public against trading or pricing goods and services in foreign currencies, particularly the US dollar. Speaking at the official launch of the cedi at 60 celebration, Dr. Forson emphasized that the Ghana cedi remains the country's only legal tender and urged citizens to support efforts to stabilize and strengthen it. He called on the public to demonstrate patriotism by respecting and preserving the value of the national currency. As citizens, we have a role to play. We must maintain the sanctity of the cedi as a legal tender by preserving it with dignity and protecting it jealously. We must all be vanguards and ensure that the cedi's value is maintained. Let me start with you, Kojo. Cedi is 60 years.
Well, 60 years, yes, but what is there to say for someone at 60? I mean, you are, by 60, you should have been at the point where you are past your prime. You are in your, basically, the days when everything good about you should have shown.
Mm.
I think when we took over the city in 65, the Bank of Ghana basically departed from its role of sustaining a currency that is, one, of value at all times, two, what needs to be done to basically let it have value at all times. You now look at the history of currency. The history of currency, if anybody has done a bit of history, knows that it stems from when people would go to market with gold nuggets, right? And when they get to the market with the gold nuggets, they want to buy 3 or 4 things. And sometimes these nuggets are too heavy to carry around. So then a few people now set up a shop in the market and say, okay, when you come, instead of carrying your gold nuggets around, come and deposit your gold nugget in a safe. I'll give you a piece of paper which says that you have a gold nugget worth this amount. Then everything that you buy, you give the person a piece of that paper. At the end of the day, that person will come to where your nugget is deposited and collect the nuggets. So that is how we started with the idea of a paper, where you can use paper to exchange for goods. And from there on, it became a currency. But you realize that that paper that was issued on that first day was backed by what? Gold. All around the world, the dollar, the pound, every currency that is of is backed by gold. We said that we took over the currency to cedi in 1965. But from 1965 till 2003, we only had 8 tons of gold. 8 tons of gold in our reserves. So clearly, Bank of Ghana did not understand the currency they had. Because if you go to all these international conferences, you go to all these central bank events, and we know that in America there's a place called Fort Knox, where the dollar, of the value of the dollar today, is backed by a huge reserves of gold. In the UK, the weight of the pound is basically in the basement of the central bank of the United States of, the United Kingdom. There's a huge vault of gold, and that is what backs their currency. We sat and exported the gold out of this country and sat unconcerned. So for me, a baby from 1965 to today, 60 years, Bank of Ghana has not done justice to that currency because we didn't understand what the currency was. So if they did, and they just basically felt that, look, what's the point? Until 2003 when, and let me greet Dr. Bawumia, who is on his visit to the Western North, came up with the gold for reserve idea that, look, Bank of Ghana, take that responsibility very serious. Then Bank of Ghana started doing the gold for reserves. And now we are told that we have about 37 tons of gold in reserve. So within 2 years, we've gone from 8.7 tons of reserve to 37 tons of reserve. What were they doing for the rest of the 58 years? So for me, Bank of Ghana can sit and do the pageantry of 60 years of a currency that is their baby. And most of the times, everybody wants to point fingers at politicians. Bank of Ghana are technocrats. And for people who have been given responsibility to sustain a currency, and that's their focal point of the number one role that they have, for me, they failed. Because the cedi has depreciated year on year. We always felt that if we found oil, it would be better. Almost 18 years of oil discovery, 14 years of first oil, still our currency depreciates on a daily basis. Some of us have even proposed certain things in the past, like certain contracts issued in the offshore, issued upstream, a certain percentage of that contract should be domiciled in cities. So that if somebody is sitting in London and signing a $1 billion contract, he knows that 30% or 40% of that contract is city domiciled. So it doesn't matter where you are, you have to bring that currency into Ghana to take city for that payment of that contract. Nobody have listened. And we can see the amount of dollars that we have spent in our upstream, right? Billions and billions of dollars, and still our currency is depreciating. Today, like I said, from 2023, we've come up with the gold for reserves. Bank of Ghana is now taking it serious. We recently heard the Bank of Ghana Governor, Isiama, talks about how much gold they have offloaded to shore up the currency, as a result, bringing it back to the 10 point something that it is, right? It tells you that the gold thing should have been done long time ago. And it's not like we are going to import gold. Gold is the one thing that we've had from day one. In fact, why the colonial masters loved Ghana is that we are told that gold nuggets, you can find gold on the shores. And that's why we are called the Gold Coast, right? So we've always had one unit, one commodity that is so common in Ghana that is what makes your currency great. But we failed in using that to shore up our currency. So yes, we can do the pageantry for 60 years and talk about some stability and Bloomberg and all these things. But for me, why do you need Bloomberg to tell you how good your currency is doing? We tend to want to rely so much on these credit ratings and all these international foreign press, what they say about us. Meanwhile, we sit here and we went to school, we've done economics, we know what is, we know the need be's, right? But we don't do them. So, I mean, well, it's 60 years, we move on. But does it stop the currency from doing the Adonko seesaw that is doing in the last 1 year? No, it wouldn't stop it. Is the city going to depreciate further? I don't know. But we have to build the blocks that say that Ghana is going to have a sustainable currency. So much to do about nothing for now, unless we are able to get to the point where the city is solid. We are not there yet.
And I think that your submission this morning just goes to reinforce the narrative out there that some would suggest that the flip-flopping nature of the city has caused some people to lose some level of confidence and trust in the city, and so you have a situation where people are adopting other currencies. And here we're talking about the dollar, and in some cases, in some few cases, we have the pounds, and in some cases, you have the euros. But part of what was done yesterday was also to engage in what I call a national reorientation, to get Ghanaians to understand that despite all the challenges that you have just, succinctly outlined, the city is what we have. And so beyond just looking at it from the economic point of view, it's also a symbol of national pride. Yes, and so yes, we get it.
So should we hang it on the wall and just go about our business, or should we value it?
So that's what I'm saying. Yes, so let's value it.
Yes, but the value doesn't just come from me having a pride in the paper. The value comes from somebody whose responsibility is to make sure that tender has value. I remember so well when we did a redenomination, right? The city now became stronger than the pound, than the dollar, imaginatively, right? Because at a point when you have one cedi, it was worth 0.92, right? So if I take dollar to the bank to change, I will get 0.92 of 0.92 pesos. So what was happening was that I had dollar on me then, but I don't give anybody $100, because if I give you 100 cedis, it's more than the dollar. You understand? Then if sometimes when I feel that I have cedis that I don't want to spend, then I would rather spend the dollar to get rid of it, because if I give you $100, it's lesser than 100 cedis, because 100 cedis was worth more.
Yes.
So then the pride of keeping my cedi is that I keep a valuable that I can keep. But you can't tell me to have a pride in something. Yes, they will hang it on the wall, but that's not what we use the currency for. It's a tender for payment. For me to have a pride in it, it means that it should stop the seesaw Adonko that it's doing, right? Stability is key. Nowhere in the world have you had a currency move the way the city is doing.
But so then could you perhaps it begs the question whether it is the, I mean, what comes first? Do you show pride in the city in order to sustain it?
No.
In order to make it resilient?
No.
So, hold on. I'm talking about whether it's a chicken and egg situation.
It's not.
That's
what I'm saying, it's not.
No, hold on. I'm saying that. Do you say and insist and get Ghanaians to accept that, look, despite the challenges the city is facing, it's ours, okay? So we'll continue to use the city. We will not dollarize the system. Because if we dollarize the system, it weakens the city. So first of all, we must decide that the city is ours, and that regardless of the problems or the challenges that the city is facing, is ours, and so we keep it, okay? Or do we say that, okay, let's wait for the managers of the currency, here I'm talking about the central bank, and to some extent, the person who's in charge of the fiscals, the finance ministry, to strengthen the dollar before we confidently and with pride, welcome the city. So
can I ask you a question? Do you know that in the last 3 months, since the dollar has been the city has been gaining strength. Today, those that were happy to sell something to you when the dollar was 1 to 14, right? Today, when you go to them, do you know they don't price in dollar? They price you in cedis. Why is that? You understand? Now, some people who were also happy to collect 15 now are happy to collect the cedi, because they know that the cedi now has better value than the dollar than when it was at 15. Because now your $100 no longer gives you the 1,500 cedis. $100 now gives you 10 cedis, 50 pesos. But if everybody knows that 10 cedis, 50 pesos, or 10 cedis, 70 pesos is going to be sustained and prolonged over the next 5 years, then nobody would want to now be in a hurry to collect $1. You understand? So we only cherish and value something that the managers of that currency has put in the work. I mean, giving us that lecture of national pride and so and so, yes. But the point is that when I go through all that, that's the emotional part of me and you. When we step out of the house, we step out of the car, what we need to use our currency for is to be able to do what? Have a purchasing power. If I'm going into the shop and everything I'm trying to buy, I need to go and change more money, or I need more money to do it because the dollar, right? Then nobody's going to value the cedi. Everybody's going to keep. And the reason that Ghanaians, in most part, you see, we are using dollar as a store of value. That's what most people are doing.
Why?
Because your currency depreciates. I'll give you an example. Today, I have a case in court. I gave somebody $1.8 million. Sorry, 1.8 million Ghana cedis in 2017. The reason I gave that person a check of 1.8 million Ghana cedis was that I was supposed to give that person $450,000. Right? $450,000 in 2017 was equivalent of 1.8 million Ghana cedis. But I didn't give the person dollar, I gave the person cedis. Today, that person is supposed to give me back my 1.8 million Ghana cedis. What is it worth? Is this still worth $450,000? It's not. So for me to store value, I will now store the value in a currency that doesn't depreciate. So I would have given that person $450,000 in 2017, and today he would have to give me back $450,000, and guess how much that currency is worth? $450,000 is worth 4.6 and change million Ghana cedis instead of 1.8 million in 2017. So if you keep to cedis, you cannot store value, and that is why the central bank needs to do their work. Because everybody, Uncle Kwesi, everybody wants to store value. The reason our grand ancestors used to keep gold, and we are back to the gold conversation, because gold is the store of value. The reason gold prices around the world, when there is uncertainty around the world, everybody buys gold, is that over the years, everybody have realized that the one thing that keeps its value is gold. Okay, so the reason the Bank of Ghana has a responsibility to us, and before this lecture comes in, is to let me appreciate that I can store value. You see, we are the only country that year on year we are making everybody poorer, right? You have a house that is valued at 2 million Ghana cedis. That 2 million Ghana cedis, let's say today, is worth what, $200,000. That 2 million Ghana cedis house, in 5 years from now, will be worth how much? It will be worth pennies, because that 2 million Ghana cedis is no longer worth $200,000. So I have lost value. I have lost the value of my property. It's not worth the same. So before people can now appreciate that currency, they need to be, because that's what we have. I work to store value. My worth is a store of value. If I'm worth 10 billion Ghana cedis, it's equivalent to something, right? There's a benchmark. It's a store of value. If in 5 years I'm made poorer by no effort of my own, but by the work of somebody, then why am I storing value in that currency? That is why everybody is deserting the currency that we have. If the Bank of Ghana can work to store value, keep that value.
So the point you're making is that the show of pride in any item, in any commodity, is not. It's not something that just happens automatically.
Value. It's a value.
It is an outcome of something.
Yes. You know why the
Americans... to say that you're Ghanaian,
yes.
So be proud of the city. Doesn't matter what the city does to you.
See, why does the American flag hold so much value? Why does the Ghana flag doesn't hold similar values? If somebody burns the Ghana flag today, what would we do? Somebody burns the American flag, what's the symbolism of it, right? You drive around America, you've never seen a torn or a tattered flag. Drive around Accra and see the amount of tattered and torn flags around the country, right? So it is the value you put into something. That's what I'm saying. We can only hold something pride with high esteem if that person, if that's the managers of that same thing has value. I mean, it's for sentimental reasons. We can be sentimental, and because there are two issues. Either it's sentiment or it's practicality or value. If it's sentiment, then yes, we can all be sentimental about it and say, oh, the cedi is our currency, let's be sentimental. But that is last a minute. You snap your fingers, the reality sets in, you need to have value.
So until and unless we fix the instability challenges of that city, you don't find anything wrong with people storing value in other currencies?
No, it's not finding something wrong. You see, you need to address why that person is storing value in other currency. Why do I want to be broke? I work hard. I make 10,000 cedis a month, right? But by no fault of my own, that 10,000 cedis is not worth the same money month on month. So the currency which I'm paid in depreciates. Then the first thing I do is when I get my salary, I go looking for dollar to store value in dollar. Or buy gold and store value in gold. You see, it's...
So let's be patient.
Patient with who?
And fix the cedi.
Who? Who fixes the cedi?
When you store in value, when you store your value in a foreign currency, it doesn't help.
No, but who?
It doesn't help the problem, does
but
it?
me storing value in a foreign currency is not the reason it's depreciating.
The more dollars you look for?
No. You see, that's why I gave you...
Economics 101?
No.
That's why I gave
you... That's why I gave you the reason behind a currency. What is the currency backed with? It's backed with nothing. Until 2003, we are only backing the entire currency with 8 tons of gold. So it's backed with nothing. It doesn't matter. Do you know how many? Look, the dollar. I think there are more dollars outside the United States than there is in the United States. In South America, you've seen videos of mice chewing people's dollar. In some places, you see people hoarding dollar. Has that changed the value? It hasn't. Don't they have currencies in those countries? Are they not storing dollar? Has it changed? It hasn't changed the value. The reason it hasn't changed is that the currency is backed by gold. It has a backing. We are only doing demand and supply to determine the currency. But the fundamental of that currency is to be backed by gold. Our currency is not backed by any gold. Until recently, only 87 tons of gold. So if, let's say today, Ghana decides that we're going to have, let's say, 2,000 tons of gold, the currency will look differently. The value of that currency will not just drop the way you think it will drop. It doesn't matter who is storing what and how many local people are storing the dollar. Gradually, when people realize stability in the dollar, then gradually that shift will happen. But until that, if I'm paid on a monthly basis 10,000 cedis, I am going to go and try and store value because I don't want 10,000 cedis to devalue, no fault of my own. That's the fundamental of
it. Because you're not helping us preserve the strength and the value of the city.
It's a reality. Unless you want me to tell you something else.
Indirectly, you're encouraging people that...
No, I'm not encouraging anybody. I'm telling the Bank of Ghana to do their work. When they do their work, people... When the currency stores value, people will keep it.
Okay. Okay, City 60.
Well, first of all, I cannot accept that the U.S. flag, has more value than the Ghanaian flag. It's a question of national sovereignty. And I cannot, under any circumstance, see any national sovereignty inferior to another. I cannot accept that. The U.S. flag is not superior to the Ghanaian flag. The Ghanaian flag is the symbol of the sovereignty of the Ghanaian people, and it must be given as much respect as any other thing that expresses the sovereignty of any other people. That's the first point I'd like to make. Now, again, the city was introduced in 1965, again as an expression of our national sovereignty, as a further step in the consolidation of our national independence. Because before then, we were using the British pound and shillings.
And pence.
Pounds, shillings, and pence.
Yes, well, derivatives of the pounds, yes.
And the Nkrumah government thought that our independence would not be complete if we continue to use the British currency. So he sought to introduce the cedi. And mind you, the cedi is not a new coinage. Our ancestors had always used the cedi. So it was a return to what we used to use, and so on. Now, today, if you look at French-speaking African countries, all of them are compelled to put their foreign reserves in the Central Bank of France. Mm-hmm. So you have the ridiculous situation where French-speaking African countries actually sometimes borrow their own money and pay interest on their own money they have borrowed to France. This is what Nkrumah wanted to avoid. Now, the cedi did very, very well under Nkrumah. Indeed, at the time that the cedi was introduced, it had more value than the US dollar. By February 24, 1966, when the coup occurred, the coup which was sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency occurred, the cedi was exchanging at 1 to 1 US dollar. You understand? So the cedi was a strong currency. It was doing well. Now, currencies are backed by production. Okay? By production. Your currency is as strong as what you produce and what you export. That gives your currency value. And it was for that reason that the Nkrumah government came up with the import substitution program, which led to the establishment of many factories across the country, so that our dependence, on foreign goods, and therefore the need to denominate trade in foreign currency was lessened. So we're producing shoes, we're producing television sets, we're producing fridges. Even at one stage, we're producing vehicles and so on. All of that was meant to give effect, to the emergence of a strong currency and so on. Now, what is important is that even at the time that the cedi was being introduced, it was vigorously opposed by opponents of Nkrumah. Indeed, some of them insisted that we should still have the Queen of England's effigy on our currency, and the historical records are there. I mean, for petty reasons such as having the Queen's effigy on our currency and so on, they insisted that we should not introduce the cedi. Now, a number of things happened after the 1966 coup, which started the devaluation of the cedi in very, very unpalatable terms and so on. First of all, the import substitution program of the Nkrumah government was abandoned. Factories were deliberately destroyed and privatized and so on. There is the case of the establishment of the tannery at Avayima in the Volta region, tannery, and a meat factory also in Bolgatanga, and a shoe factory in Kumasi. These three factories were linked. The cows were slaughtered in Avayima, and the skins of the cows were used for the hide, the manufacture of leather and so on, which went to Kumasi to feed the Kumasi shoe factory. And then the meat went to the Bolgatanga meat factory where we were producing Volta corned beef and so on. Now, my brother, do you know what happened after the coup? These reckless soldiers in the service of neo-colonial interests and so on shot these cows and used the meat to prepare pepper soup for troops. Yes. They did not just collapse the tannery, they collapsed the meat factory and destroyed the shoe factory. So for a very long time, we were dependent on other countries for the supply of boots for our military, prison service, police service, and so on. It was under President Mills that an attempt was made to revive the Kumasi shoe factory to produce footwear for our security services and so on. I don't know how well that fared and so on. But all of these things have impact on the strength of your currency. Okay. Then we went to the International Monetary Fund and the IMF, and one of the conditions they've always applied is that you need to devalue your currency. Okay. Of course, the worst form, the worst attack on the value of our currency took place in 1983 under Mr. Rawlings, and that's a fact, when we went for the economic recovery program and so on. Now, cumulatively between 1983 and the year 2000, the Ghanaian cedi had been devalued by as much as 26,000%. Can you wrap your head around that figure? 26,000% devaluation.
That's huge.
Huge, and so on. So this is a problem that we are, confronted with. Now, yesterday, the Bank of Ghana made the point that we need to treat the currency well, because it takes resources to print the currency. So if you don't keep it well, people keep the cedi in all kinds of ways and so on. And it deteriorates very fast. We have to spend a lot more money printing. And that in itself has a negative impact on the economy and also the strength of the currency. So I agree with the governor of the Bank of Ghana and also the vice president that we need to take measures in order not to destroy the cedi. So, now again, if you're a student of economics, especially old economics,
classical economics.
Well, I'm not so sure that they're classical, but old economics,
right,
out of fashion economics and so on.
Okay.
One generally tends to believe that the strength of a currency is dependent on its gold backing. Modern economics does not uphold that theory. Because the US dollar is not backed by gold. You understand? The US dollar's strength is that it has become a currency of choice in international trade. And that in itself gives the currency some measure of strength. So it's not the amount of gold that the US dollar has backing it, which gives it its strength. But the fact that it's a currency of choice in international trade, because of all these international arrangements, the SWIFT system, all kinds of things, and so on. Okay. Now, where are we today? We are in a period where, over the last 9 months, the city has appreciated significantly. Over the last 9 months, the city has appreciated significantly. And my brother is right. The city now is exchanging at about 10 cedis to $1. I mean, last year, it hit 17 point something to $1. That's a significant appreciation. Now, I don't fully understand why the city is appreciating so fast. I don't, and I would not pretend that I understand it. But I'm told that we are using our gold resources to shore up the city. And that the Bank of Ghana periodically releases cedis, for the purchase of gold, which is then used as some kind of a backing, for the currency and so on. And that is one of the reasons why the cedi appears to be appreciating. I hope it is true. I don't know that as a fact. I hope it is true. What I also know is that over a period of time, we have actually been using the cedi, even in local transactions. The dollar, in local transactions. And that tends to weaken, the cedi. So, for example, you walk into a boutique and makeup for women and so on is sold in dollars. Sandals are sold in dollars, shirts are sold in dollars. You want to rent a nice, decent flat, you have to pay in dollars and so on. All of this affect the value of the city. And that is why I'm happy that measures are being put in place to insist on the fact that in Ghana, the legal tender is the cedi, and that we need to do our trading in cedis rather than in foreign currency and so on. I'm very happy with that measure. But ultimately, what will sustain the value of our cedi or make the value of our cedi appreciate and so on is production. Production, 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 production. That's the only way. You understand? If you look at the cocoa sector, it is frightening. What has happened in the cocoa sector in the last 5 years is frightening. And you remember I told you that I actually pity Randy Abbey, and that I thought that he was doing very, very well in Metro TV, and he would have stayed here, and avoided carrying this huge problem on his head. One, they said that cocoa is the mainstay of the economy. Mm-hmm. Now, if cocoa is the mainstay of the economy, it means that it has an impact on the value of your currency and so on. Over the last 5 years, cocoa production has gone down by more than 50%. 50% drop in the level of cocoa production. That should worry anybody. Worse still, cocoa prices on the international market have shot up, okay? But because we are doing forward sales and so on, we are not benefiting from this huge increase in the producer price of cocoa. That's a huge problem for the economy. So the revival of the cocoa sector of the national economy, and if we have to abandon it, I'm not a stickler for revival. If we have to abandon it, what other alternatives are we going to look at? And this is a matter for discussion and debate and so on. But the cocoa sector places huge constraints on the national currency. And don't forget that last year, was it, we failed to secure the syndicated loan, which we used for cocoa purchases from the farm gate and so on. What was the reason for that? It is interesting to examine that reason. But bottom line, as I've said from the very beginning, is that if you want to shore up your currency, you produce. And you depend less on imports and so on. Now, today, rice has become a major staple for Ghana. It wasn't. And when some of us were growing up, you could only eat rice on festive occasions, Easter and Christmas and so on. Today, everybody eats rice sometimes twice a day, you understand? And rice has become a major staple. Why? Again, all the 16 regions of Ghana, and I mean all the 16 regions of Ghana, have favorable conditions for the cultivation of rice. And yet, Ghana is rice import dependent. Amazing. I mean, I saw the figures last week. I couldn't believe it. Why is it that all the 16 regions of Ghana have favorable conditions for the cultivation of rice, and not just that? The rice we produce in Ghana has better nutritional value than the rice we import. And yet, every year, close to about 3 billion or so is spent on the importation of rice. If you want to strengthen your currency, you stop reliance on imported rice, produce local rice, which we can do in 1 year. You know the story of that Ghanaian who went to Nigeria and assisted them to beef up their rice production and so on. It took less than 18 months for him to achieve his target. So it is possible, if we took the right measures, to boost rice production, say in 2 years' time. That way, the huge amounts of money we spend in foreign exchange, especially in dollars, importing rice, will be conserved. It will have an impact on the value of the cedi, and it will help us develop sustainable agriculture tailored to the nutritional needs of our people and so on. And we've spoken about this for so many years. It never happens. So, increasing rice production would make an impact on the value of the cedi. It will make an impact on the nutritional quality of the food that Ghanaians eat, and so on, so many other things. So this is how I like to approach the question of the cedi. No doubt, the introduction of the cedi was part of the effort to assert national sovereignty. And I am all for asserting national sovereignty. You understand? Within some context. But national sovereignty, the independence we gained, is valuable. It needs to be protected. You cannot be protecting your national independence if you're not protecting your national currency and so on. So yesterday's celebration for me is a celebration of national sovereignty. It's a celebration of the efforts which we made to build a self-reliant national economy, under the 7-year development plan of the Nkrumah government, and within the policy framework of import substitution and so on. I put all of that together. Yes, the Bank of Ghana has had difficulties. I mean, when I was first told that the Bank of Ghana was making losses, I almost collapsed. How is Bank of Ghana making losses? But all that appears to be history. Within the last 9 months or so, there have been significant improvements. The rate of inflation has dropped significantly. The value of the cedi has upped significantly. The level of our indebtedness, I'm told, has also dropped quite interestingly, and so on. So within the last 9 months, we've made some significant gains. I hope, and I sincerely hope, I mean it, I hope, I just hope that we'll be able to keep this going for some time.
Okay. We'll take a breather, but when we come back, I would want us to expand a little bit. We do not intend to stay on this subject matter for a very long time because we have other issues to look at, but we'll stay a bit on the issue of dollarization, because the two of you have actually mentioned that, but we'll expand it a little bit, dollarization, and also the way we handle our currency. And, my boss, Annie Ifwampov, she returned from Singapore just recently, with the president, Annie, yes.
Is Annie your boss?
Every woman is our boss. Women are very powerful. Okay. So Annie is my boss. And she returned from Singapore, and I had because I asked her, I said, you went to Singapore, what did you bring? And she said, oh, I have a currency from Singapore for you. And she showed me that currency. And Kojo and the uncle see that the currency was super fresh. The notes, very fresh. And she was telling me about the culture of the people around the currency. And I thought it was worth sharing. So we'll take this a little bit. When I come back, I'll see how Ghana can get there. The attitude towards the currency. If you bring $1, the attitude towards the dollar. If somebody's giving you a note, it's always fresh. It's always as if you're just, getting it from their central bank and so on. And we need to get to that point. So we'll take a little bit. And when we come back, we'll expatiate a bit on this, and then we'll move to some other issues. So stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana. Keep watching it.
The Cedi at 60 is a year-long celebration by the central bank in celebrating the remarkable achievements of the local currency cedi as the sole legal tender for the past decades. The Cedi at 60 is a year-long celebration by the central bank in celebrating the remarkable achievements of the local currency cedi as the sole legal tender for the past decades. Top government.
Day the right way, filled with confidence to take on any challenge. Pepsodent Kids contains the right amount of fluoride and sugar acid protection to care for their developing gums and teeth. Grab either orange or strawberry so they brush with the sweet flavor they love morning and evening. Pepsodent Kids, giving your children a bright smile for a brighter future.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Wabedum time aso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Mekwaya mabesisia. Abozege. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old dish. Eji, Dabio, baby wom. Ready? Hey, baby wom. Ah, Eji. I'll cause some discomfort. Ah. Sorry, uncle, where would dad? Why your funeral? At to phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share nanda danya was mosquito call esudu womunumu. Na say spray with them sir. Chansima edronum ansa na akodan and Kratoi FDA ajatum.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No bugger why you luckiest. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame.
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, simple direction. Mr. Good Luck no check me way.
Yeah,
man.
Easy car. Or dial star 712 hash. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
I'm his birthday.
Oh, how romantic!
And he followed the prompts. Yes, and then boom, confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, baby, our family pay maximum. Before December, may release a motivational album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Victory, celebration, legacy. It's 40 years of Jesus is our victory. Join Victory Bible Church International for the Wonderful Jesus Conference 2025. A power-packed celebration marking 40 glorious years of God's faith and God's grace. It all begins on Saturday, 12th October with the Mega Praise and Worship Night. A night of pure gratitude and praise. Then get ready for the Wonder Walk on October 25th. A citywide walk of testimony and victory. From October 27th to the 30th of October, the Wonderful Jesus Conference continues live at the VBCI Dominion Sanctuary, Awoshi Junction. Expect nothing but divine encounters, miracles, and transformation on October 31st. Meet us at the Independence Square for a nationwide gathering of worship, power, and the Word. Then on November 1st, join the outreach program at Mancho Agbona. Then let's touch lives and share the love of Jesus Christ. And finally, the grand service at the Independence Square on November 2nd. Come and witness the glory of 40 years of victory. Ministering are Bishop N.A. Takiyaboy, Bishop Clement Amankwa Isehene, Bishop Elijah Saforo, and Bishop Emmanuel Akon. Wonderful Jesus Conference 2025. 40 years of grace, power, and impact. From the 12th of October to the 2nd of November. Victory Bible Church International invites you to celebrate Jesus because Jesus is our victory.
I go
church of heaven, the 20 Ghana per square. There is no change in value. The value is the same. There is no change in value. The value is the same. Everybody above 10,000 would be Ghana cedis. Come on, and the source. And every value below 10,000 cedis. We the source. Come on, Ghana the source. There is no change in value. The value is the same. There is no change in value. The value is the same. You have all the time to change for your money. The old and new money will be used 24/6 months. From there, no banks will.
Wow. I don't know where Annie and her team pulled that video out for. You know, it brings all of us some memories, eh? Their value is the same. Yeah, this was in 2007 during the reading of it. It was a big, you know, conversation that transpired at the time. But anyway, so we're talking about the cedi, which is the country's legal tender. It's turned 60 years, and in fact, it turned 60 years on Friday, the 19th of July, and since its issuance as a medium of exchange, which marked a significant milestone as far as Ghana's post-independence economic journey is concerned. And yesterday at the Accra International Conference Center, the official launch was held to mark the 60th anniversary celebration of the Ghana cedi. So we've been trying to look at what the Ghana cedi has done for us and the importance of you know, continue to use the Ghana cedis as against some other currencies. And my guest will be doing some justice to the topic. And so Kojo Safo-Opoku is here. He's an energy expert and also a member of the NPP. In fact, he is with the Institute for Energy Policies and Research. You're the Chief Executive Officer, right, of this institute? Okay. And then also Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., former managing editor of the Insight newspaper and also an elderly statesman, and obviously once a former managing news editor, is a seasoned journalist, practicing this for more than 30 years. So you know exactly what we're talking about. So I before the break, Uncle Kwesi, I was raising the issue about our attitude towards the cedi. In fact, you hinted that in your submission, and you thought that is something we need to look at. And I mentioned that, you know, Annie was on that trip to Singapore with the president, and she came back and I asked, Joe Kelly, I said, so what do you bring from Singapore? She said, oh, I brought you a currency. And when I saw the currency, I said, is this how almost all the currency in Singapore looks? She said, yeah, everywhere you go, the currency is always looking new, it's looking fresh, and the way they even handle it, you know, and you wonder, how did Singapore get it right? You know, where every citizen knows that they have a responsibility of protecting the currency. And also when you reach I'm told when you get there and you show the dollar, you want to buy anything from any shop anywhere, they no. You have to go and, you know, get their currency before you can transact in any form of business, you know. So their mindset is right when it comes to their own currency. And back home in Ghana, we, like we say it in Tree, sikano. When I want to give somebody some money, so Charlie, I have something small for you, and then the person takes the money and then just crumples it and gives it to you. You know, it is here in Ghana. Somebody said, I don't want to say politicians. Some people give, everybody gives. You know, in Ghana, somebody will take a pen, you know, and scribble on our currency. You know, I mean, as for this one, my own people will come after me. But this thing where we say buki, you know, when you go to a social event, when somebody's doing their outdooring, you know, naming, how do you call it, a wedding or anything, and then we go and we splash, we splash some cash on the person, and then the thing is on the floor, and people step on it and so on. I mean, our whole mentality and mindset about the cedi, it's very, very problematic. You know, we don't respect our cedis. Look at the way when you give somebody $1, even if it's just $1, the way they would worship it. You know, the way they will keep it clean, they will handle it very well. And then you give the person a cedi, it's totally different. So I don't know how we can overcome this mindset when it comes to the cedi. I mean, I'm not talking about the economics of it. I'm talking about the social-cultural side of things. Kojo, how do we deal with this?
Well, let me quickly make a correction. I think when I earlier talked about the Ghana flag, I think my uncle got me wrong. I never meant to say that the American flag was a superior flag than a Ghana flag. I'm saying that the way citizenry, the pride in by the citizenry. So the citizenry of Ghana, the pride they have in their flag, the citizenry of America, the pride they have in their flag. Two different pride they have. And I use the fact that you would see torn and tattered flags in Ghana, and you will not see no say. So it's the way certain symbolism are kept in the countries that gives pride to the citizens, and that's the third. Look, my brother, the issue of currency, whether you see, there are two conversations: cost of printing money, and basically making sure that we handle the currency well and all that. It's faced by a lot of countries. If you go to the UK now, they've gone to the rubber currency, right? So it's not paper anymore.
Okay.
The UK £50 note is no longer paper, it's rubber. A lot of countries are going for rubber currency because of the cost in reproducing the paper and the ease with which it gets dirty and all that. So it's a problem worldwide. Yes, in Ghana it's a bigger problem because of the way we trade, right? The market areas and stuff like that. You go and buy charcoal, the BDA seller will handle currency. Everybody handles currency. And yes, I don't think to a larger extent people splashing money at weddings and events contribute that much to how currency get dirty. But it's the circulation of it and where it's kept and all that is a problem. But the bigger problem is not that. I think that if you want to appropriate percentages, I think the store of value is a much bigger problem than the handling of the actual currency. So again, if we are to now look at that store of value, the central bank has a duty to do that.
I'm not sure if the two are mutually exclusive.
I'm not saying they are. I'm
Yes.
saying that one has more bigger than the other.
Okay.
That's
Right.
what I'm saying. I'm
That's
not saying
fine.
they are mutually exclusive.
That's
But
fine.
again, my uncle Kwesi talked about importation and you see, today, Ghana, our balance, our payment of balance is surplus, right? We, in terms of value, we export more than we import.
Right.
So we have a budget surplus. Back in the days when we have budget deficit, it's long gone. The value of our exports is more than the value of our imports. Yes, there are areas that we want to look at in terms of some agro products and stuff like that. But the world has changed. In the new economics that we talked of, if you look at the top 6 Ghana imports, cereal and grain, sorry, if you look at top 10, cereal and grain is number 6. Today, our top import, because the country has changed. Petroleum products, right? Agrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, all the other things that we import, which now makes it ahead of cereal and grain. Oil and gas is one of the biggest in importation of petroleum products, and all those things that we have. So we are not just looking at just improving farming and improving rice production and all those things. That really and truly, like I said, on the top 10 is number 6. What we need to do is to now find ways to get reserves. And like I've rightfully said earlier, Dr. Bawumia came up with the gold for reserves, which Uncle Kwesi said that, look, he's heard that it's helping. Yes, it's helping because there is an idea that everybody sat aloof and didn't come up with, that we have natural gold and you can use our cedi to buy gold. And everybody has basically hanged gold for oil and beaten it like a pandiada. But it's one of the best innovations that we've had in this country, where we are saying that we have gold locally, we use our cedi to buy gold. Gold for commodities. If somebody wants to now bring imports into the country, instead of going to look for dollar, because we don't produce dollar in Ghana. There's one thing we produce, is cedis, right? We use our cedis to go to the Dunkwa or Ayamfree areas to buy gold, and then give the gold for the person to go away.
Right.
And gold has such a high value that everybody is happy to take away gold in a butter where they bring products and take away gold. In fact, there are some multinationals that have done their dividends, right? And they ship out huge dividends in dollar
Okay.
They give us the dividends is in cedis, right? They have money in the bank. They've worked in Ghana. They've got dividends in cedis. But they want to ship out dollar as their dividends to their parent companies.
Okay.
The Bank of Ghana is in the position to now say that, look, we instead of giving you dollar, which we don't have, we'll give you gold. And companies are happy to take that.
Right.
So gold as a central part of our economics and the way we do business. And we've had other African countries trying to adapt these beautiful ideas of gold for commodities, gold for reserves. But in Ghana, people want to hang it as a panada and beat it up to a pulp. Why?
Okay.
Because it came from somebody called Dr. Baumia. But hey, it's all good.
Okay.
Issues need to be addressed. Can Bank of Ghana continue to give value to the money? Yes. If they're able to do that, then people will hold it sacred. And the value that you talk of, people will not throw it around as easily. Today, if you're walking around and somebody drops 1 CD, in some areas, the 1 CD might not even be picked up. You understand? Because what is 1 CD today?
Okay. All right. So, I have a gift from Singapore for you.
Is it a rubber currency or is it the paper currency?
I don't know how you describe this, but
if it's rubber, you can feel it's rubber.
Yes. Annie said I should give one to Uncle Wesley.
Let me see if it's rubber, I'll tell you.
Yeah, okay. Let me see. Let's here we go.
Yeah, it's rubber.
It's rubber.
It's rubber, yes. It's a rubber currency. It's not paper.
Okay, from Annie to you.
Yeah. So most countries are going for the rubber. It's not paper.
Yes. Okay.
It's not paper.
So that's the new technology.
Yes. In the UK, the £50 note, the most notes are of this.
I'm sure they must be very expensive.
It is expensive, but it's durable.
It's durable.
It's not paper that you can. It's the way paper over period. These ones are more durable. So most countries are now using these type of currencies.
Singapore dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is what we must get to, where almost every currency in this country must look this clean and fresh. That's the aspiration. All right. So let's move on and look at some other issues.
I was just going to make
about the way we handle a currency.
Yeah, I mean, these days, and I'm sure all of you have had the same experience.
Yeah.
You go somewhere and you see the 1 CD note on the floor, and even children don't pick it.
Yes.
That's a huge statement. Now, why is that so? It is so because it can't buy anything.
So we're saying it's useless?
Yes. Oh. Try giving a 1 CD coin to a child. A child in class 1. I mean, and I've seen CD coins on the floor, and nobody is interested in picking it because it doesn't buy anything.
Oh, all right.
Okay? So that's part of the problem. If you want people to take good care of a currency, we should take good care of the currency. But we should have to take good care of the currency by making sure that the currency has a certain value. Because nobody is going to take care of anything which is valueless.
So our sense of patriotism is not enough?
No, the sense of patriotism is not enough. Sense of patriotism is important, but it's certainly not enough when it comes to handling national currency.
Wow. Okay.
Why are you surprised?
Oh, man. Anyway, so, Ogozi.
Yes, sir.
This week, there have been 2 major policy announcements. And this policy announcements has understandably and predictably generated some widespread conversation on both traditional and new media. And this policy statement, one in the education sector and the one also in the ICT sector. So our education minister says that going forward, we must, and the Ghana Education Service must ensure that we use our local language as a medium of instruction in our basic schools. And that no more a child who starts school from kindergarten, you're teaching them in English. Teach them in their local language because they'll better understand and grasp the concepts. That's one. The second one is that if your child is attending a public school, senior high, the only hairstyle that that child is allowed to make or to have on is a down cut, as we popularly say it. You're not allowed to keep any kind of hairstyle on for as long as in a public school. If you want that, you can take your child to some private school, it's no problem. But if you're in a public school, you're enjoying free SHS, you've got to right to go with responsibility. You must make sure that you cut your hair. Of course, yesterday, it was a Monday or so, on Annie's show on Monday, I heard Shamima Muslim say, exception we made for persons who have, some compelling reasons, maybe religion, maybe health, and so on. But the general rule or the general policy is that cut your hair. But there have been some massive pushback, and some say, what has your style of hair got to do with your ability to learn and pass and do a good job? What has your style of hair got to do with your moral shaping, your moral upbringing? And then we've also heard the teacher unions who are saying they are in full support of what the education minister has said. So that's on the educational front. And then there are other issues about cyber security. And that too, we are made aware of a bill. I'm still studying the bill. I haven't studied it fully. But it's a bill which is going to Parliament to basically clean up our cybersecurity space. There's a lot of what I'll call unacceptable things happening in our cyberspace. And the Communications Ministry, I'm sure with the Interior Ministry, are doing everything possible to make sure that they clean it up. And so there's a draft bill which would soon be put before Parliament for Parliament to debate. But even ahead of that, we've had some minority members who are kicking against the bill. They're saying that, look, it's a very subtle or indirect way of gagging people from talking, especially within the cyber space. They're saying that it's a return of the criminal libel, and so on and so forth. So I want us to look at these two major developments in the course of this week. In fact, one of them is here, has been captured by today's Informer, a newspaper, where we're told the Minister of Education is seeking the support of parents to enforce hairstyle and dressing code. It's a news desk report which said the Minister of Education, Aaron Idrisu, is appealing to parents to rally behind the Ghana Education Service to enforce the directive on dressing and hairstyle codes at senior high schools. He's of the view that SHS students should not be allowed to dress and make hairdos based on their individual preferences. He contends that such a development could generate into students wearing all manner of things within the academic environment that could distract teaching and learning. To this end, Mr. Haruna has appealed to parents to support the ministry and the implementing agency GS for the directive to be effective. Now, I need to do this. Uncle and Mr. Kojo, on the CD conversation, there was something that I left out which is very, very important because we're talking about keeping the value of the CD and strengthening it. Now, there's been some developments at the Ghana Airports Company Limited. I don't know why this escaped because I wanted us to round the conversation up with this before we move to our next topic. So there's a regular viewer of Good Morning Ghana who actually contacted us yesterday and, validly complained about an issue. And the issue had to do with his brother, who we call him brother-in-law. He's from Gabon. In fact, he's Gabonese. And he's in town to visit his sister. His sister is Ghanaian. He's married to his sister who is Ghanaian. And at the airport, he was charged $200, physical dollars. They collected $200, according to him, from this brother-in-law of his as visa fee. So visa on arrival. And I was wondering how. But Annie, if the audio is ready, can we play this audio? I want us to listen to what exactly this gentleman is complaining about, and then I want us to look at this briefly before. It's not ready yet. Okay. But so when it's ready, please let's play it. But we can proceed with our conversation on. But
Moro, that's a straightforward thing. Why are you surprised at it?
$200?
It's straightforward. Yes.
Why pay $200?
It's the visa on arrival. But
why paying dollars?
But the person coming into the country, what currency would he have at the point where he's not entered?
So you're in Ghana.
No, he's not in Ghana. He's not in Ghana. He's not in Ghana. So why he doesn't have a visa? So he's not in Ghana.
So collecting CD in CD equivalent.
He does not have CDs. I'm surprised. No, but look, if you have a visa, you arrive in the country, you go to immigration, then you are in Ghana. At the back of immigration, you're not in Ghana.
The person is still in Gabon.
You're not in Ghana.
Technically speaking.
You're not in Ghana. No man's land. At the airport, immigration allows you into Ghana. So you go through immigration, you are stamped, and you are in Ghana. Before immigration, that's why there can be transit passengers, right? Who transit in the airport and don't go through immigration. I was in South Africa. I missed my flight. I couldn't go back out, right? Because I only have a one entry visa. I couldn't come out. I have to stay in the area, and lucky for me, they have a hotel, and I stayed in the hotel in the transit area. So somebody coming into Ghana doesn't have a visa. He's prepared to pay visa on arrival. He can pay in cities because he's not in Ghana.
Okay, so it's a different thing. The person was Ghanaian. If this person was
but if he's Ghanaian, why would he need a visa? Why would he need a visa?
I get it.
So he's a foreigner coming into Ghana paying visa. So what do you expect him to use? Somebody coming into Ghana who's not in Ghana, how do you expect him to have cities?
Right.
So it will be unfair on that person if you are charging the person cities. Because how is the person going to have cities?
But the person is not in Ghana yet.
He's not in Ghana. He's not Ghanaian.
Makes sense. Let's make progress. Makes sense. Makes sense.
It's the simplest.
There's nothing to add.
There's nothing. It's the simple explanation. I don't see how.
I was wondering what the complaint of the person
is. Yes. What's the complaint?
What's the complaint?
What's the complaint? You see, a lot of people
don't know that $200 is too much, or is it that the charge is in dollars? What is the complaint?
So can't we, for instance, have asked this gentleman to say, look, you are not in Ghana, so go to this place, go and change the money. Oh, there must be a Forex Bureau somewhere.
Where? Have you been to the airport? No, have you been to the airport?
Been there in a while.
Okay, so where he's paying visa on arrival, where does he go?
Can't we position a Forex Bureau?
Where?
At the airport.
Outside the immigration, yes. But you cannot have immigration at the point of entry. You are not in Ghana. It's a no man's land.
I'm not just comfortable with the fact that we're paying dollar.
No, you are not paying dollar.
Yes, I'm not paying
Ghanaians don't pay dollar because Ghanaians would not be required to pay anything. A foreigner is normal.
And maybe I'm just thinking aloud.
No, but in other countries, what is the option? If you end up in another country, okay, so let me ask you a question. When I was in South Africa, then I missed my flight, and I wasn't allowed out, right? And I was stuck in that area where I have to sleep. What currency do you think I used? Rand.
Obviously, the rand.
Thank you. But if I don't have the rand, then in that area, I will probably now use dollar. And it's acceptable tender in that area because it's the international area, right? So dollar and rand are acceptable in that international area. When you are outside South Africa, you can't use dollar in South Africa. You have to use the rand. So he's in an international area. So in that international area, there is no complaint. Like my uncle Kwesi asked, what is the complaint?
That he's paying in dollars.
You are not Ghanaian. How do you expect to pay in cities?
All right. No, I get it. I think I'm convinced. Initially, I was wondering whether it was a good thing. But I think after hearing from you, I think that there wasn't really any other option.
Most of these youth complain a lot about it. See, get a visa in your country if you don't want to have problems at there. There's an instance where, and I will make this short. Look, I have a cousin who came in from London, came to Ghana. Her and her friends decided to go to a wedding in Nigeria, forgetting that they only have a single entry visas, right? So when they went to Nigeria and they are Ghanaians, British passport, but they have a single entry into Ghana. Not mindful of that, got into a plane, went to a wedding in Nigeria. On their way back, they stopped them at the airport and said, look, we can't allow you back here because the visa you came in from London with is a single entry. But you know what? We know you are Ghanaians, you speak cheap, but the only thing they're holding a Ghanaian passport. We'll give you a visa on arrival. Pay this. The young girl thought when they asked him to pay this, he thought it was a bribe or whatever. He started screaming at them, saying all sorts of things, not understanding the concept of visa on arrival.
Right.
Then they put her in immigration around the corner, right? Telling him, don't be away, no. The following day, they called me, I went there. Then I begged, because he has insulted them at the immigration, but they were trying to help.
Yeah.
So people should understand some of these things and stop complaining.
Okay.
The easier thing is when you arrive in Ghana without visa, they will send you back.
Okay. All right. So, Ongozi, I guess let's move to a more substantive issue, which has to do with with Haruna's pronouncement and that of the Cybersecurity Amendment Act. I don't know how you intend to look at this.
Well, with the issue of the controversy over hairstyle, so I think it's not just about how you want your hair to look. Hair has serious implications,
right,
for many other things. For example, health. I've been to schools where there's a lice epidemic.
Right.
And when it happens, school authorities struggle to contain it. Lice. Hair lice. You understand?
Right.
So it's a major health issue. How do you run a school and avoid an epidemic of lice, for example? It's a major issue. Okay. Then, I think it's important also for us, Moro, to recognize that in every community, there is some form of uniformity.
Okay.
Religion. If you're a Muslim, you are Muslim because you agree to conform to some things. In some cases, mode of dressing, what you eat, and so on. In every community, if you're a Christian, there are things that you have to conform to. So,
okay.
If you join the police service, there is conformity. You can't run away from it. So everywhere, in every community, there's a certain degree of uniformity. That is what identifies the community. I've heard people say that, what has hairstyle got to do with learning? Similarly, tomorrow morning, we can say that what has the type of shoe you wear got to do with catching a thief? So policemen can wear anything. They can even decide to go to work barefooted because it wouldn't impact their ability to catch thieves as well. And then we can drag this to the level of absurdity. And I think that's what exactly is happening in this case. Especially those who ask, what has hairstyle got to do with learning? It's got a lot to do with learning. And you see, the point is that many of us who are contributing to this discussion are not basing our positions on the objective reality in the schools. So I've heard people, for example, say that, oh, let the schools bring in hairdressers. They don't know what the schools are. I've been to school. I was in boarding school when I was about 11 years old. That's when I went to boarding school. I spent most of my life, my schooling life, in boarding school. I know what it is. My brother, you go to some of the schools, some kids come in on the first day of the term. They don't go back home till the very last day of the term because they cannot afford transportation to go back home. Those kids never get visitors throughout the 3 months that they stay on campus. And there have been instances where teachers have had to make contributions to enable children go back to their parents at the end of the term. Are these the kind of students who want to bring hairdressers to come and tend to their hair and so on? Unbelievable!
It's a non-starter.
Look, you go to school, some children come to school without provisions. You know that, Moro, you know that. They come to school without provisions.
Right.
Others come with 24 tins of milk.
Yes. 2 chop boxes.
2 chop boxes.
1 for provisions.
And so on, conflicts and so on. Some come with nothing. Do you know what this causes for learning? The impact of this for learning? So imagine a situation where we say, oh, there are no restrictions and so on. So this girl comes to school in blue hair. And these days I see blue hair.
Right.
And she's the center of attraction in the whole school. And all children in the school would want to have blue hair, but 30% of the children cannot afford it. You know the commotion we are going to create for learning? You understand? So schools are deliberately designed to bring about a certain element of uniformity. You can lead to another absurd situation where students will come and say, oh, why? Learning should not only be done in the classroom. I can learn in the dormitory, so I'm not going for classes.
Or go for prep, my break.
Or go for prep, I'm tired. You know, I can learn at dawn. Yes. So, how are you going to be able to manage the school if you allow this level of permissiveness? This crazy level of permissiveness and so on. Now, I believe that we should build a society based on law. And there's law on this matter, especially when it comes to hair. Because of the Rastafarian case in Achimota, it went to court, and the court made a ruling. What was the court ruling? The court ruling was that uniformity is important, and it's a principle which should be upheld in our schools, except that in implementing things to do with uniformity and so on, we must not infringe on students' religious rights. Okay? Because of the Rastafarians, they argued that the hairstyle was a religious injunction. You understand? So that was the ruling of the court. In this particular case, where is the religious infringement of the girl? There's a law which we have to apply. Where is the religious infringement? And the law is clear on what has to be done. And so, it is interesting that all the teacher unions and associations have supported, the need to have a certain level of uniformity. Because they are in the schools, they know what happens. Look, yesterday I was telling some friends of mine, I went to secondary school in the era of the hippie culture. You know what the hippie culture is? The hippie culture had gripped the world. School authorities had to do extra things in order to keep us in line. The hippie culture. My goodness. We started cutting holes in our school uniform and so on. I mean, yes. And you didn't comb your hair and all kinds of things and so on.
Not combing of hair is back. I'm struggling with that in my house.
Oh my God. So a certain level of hygiene was dropped, and there's serious consequences for the schools. By the way, don't forget, in our days, the secondary schools had populations of around 600. Sixth form schools had a population of around 600. Now you're talking about thousands of students. How many teachers are available to manage these thousands of students? I don't think that we have 50 teachers in the secondary school. Okay? So if they don't make rules and regulations and so on, it becomes impossible to manage the schools. In your own house, where you are managing 3 children, maximum 5 children, look at how you struggle in order to keep some semblance of order in your house. So imagine that you are managing 200 children in your house. Yes. How are you going to be able to do it if you are not going to have rules and regulations, regulate life? How are you going to be able to do that? I went to boarding school very, very early in my life, and I know what I'm talking about. We woke up around 4 a.m. By 4:30, if you are not up, you'll be late. Yes. Because you need to wake up, go and weed or sweep your plot. Yes. Go to Danwin to go and fetch water. Come back and take your bath. And if you haven't finished your homework, go quickly to the classroom and finish your homework before assembly time. Yes. It's regimentation. There's some element of regimentation. You can't run away from regimentation in educational institutions. Those who do not want to subject their children and wards to regimentation, I have a very simple advice for them. Home tuition is available.
It's the best, yes, homeschooling.
You can employ teachers to teach your children at home so that they are not subject to any regimentation or regulation. So they can grow their hair any way they like. So they can wear anything they want. So they can wear high heels if they please. But once they get into schools, there are some regulations that they must follow, and they will follow them. Otherwise, the school system will break down.
Yes.
Finish.
How about language?
Oh, why don't you finish this and then
get on to, hairstyle?
Well, I associate myself fully with what my uncle have said, Uncle Kwesi have said. Look, I asked one question. Is this conversation about boys or girls?
Or both?
No, it's not. It's not about both.
Why
this conversation, boys? Which boys do you think hairstyle going to secondary school? Which hairstyle does boys?
Have you forgotten what happened just recently at Sachibota?
No, Uncle Kwesi have explained it. That is a religious issue.
Yes.
This explanation.
Yes.
What are we talking about? Hairstyles for youth in schools, boys or girls? It's a girl conversation. It's not a boy conversation. Now, if it's a girl conversation and it's the girls that the parents are making, because look, my uncle, who was an ambassador to Italy when I was a young child, right? He was, I think, a senior protocol officer, a diplomatic officer or an ambassador, I'm not too sure. He has a daughter called Rosemary who has hair to the hip. The only reason he didn't bring hair to school in Ghana was the fact that they will cut that long hair of the child. So he took the kid to a different country where the kid can be in school. So as Uncle said, if you don't want your child to be subjected to the regiment of our laws and regulations. Look, my brother, let me say something. This progressive thinking should stop. We are entertaining progressive thinking in this country to a level where if we are not careful, right, we'll get to the point where we'll get to the UK, where if a child is running out of a school into the main street where there are cars running, teachers cannot follow them out. In the UK today, if a child decides to run out of the school, nobody can chase that kid out of school. You have to leave that kid to run himself out. Because if you follow that kid, you chase that kid out of the school, enters the road and a car hits that child. You, the teacher, who is trying to catch that child, is your fault. That's the level of absurdity that if we are not careful, we will get to. We've done this thing where you can't beat a kid, you can't punish a child, you can't do this. All these things have come to dilute from when me and Uncle Kwesi went to secondary school and the kind of punishment we go through. He's saying weeding at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And our own was to have to go and clean the shanko. You understand? All those things you need to do in the morning before you go to class. Today, a lot of these things doesn't exist anymore in class, in the secondary schools. The little discipline that exists, if teachers and if parents try to now progressively change these things, we have chaos. And like I said, it's a girl conversation. It's not a boy conversation. And if it's a girl conversation, we are going to have long hair for ladies, our young ones in school. What does it take? Braiding, cornrows, and all that. And on weekends, they want to do afro hair and all those things. Why? So, look, I don't want to prolong this thing. Look, Uncle Kwesi, I've said it all. You don't want your kid to go through that. Ghana Education Service is not the only place you can take your kid. Homeschool or take your kid to a private school. Simple as that.
So the Ministry of Education has moved swiftly to quell public debates surrounding the compulsory use of Ghanaian languages as the medium of instruction in basic schools. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Apah clarified that the new directive issued by the Sector Minister Haruna Iddrisu is strictly limited to the earlier stages of basic education and does not extend across all levels. The clarification was delivered on Monday, October 27, 2025, at the launch of the Foundational Learning Action Tracker, following widespread public discussion and concern over the initial announcement. Dr. Apah stated that the minister specifically instructed him to delineate the exact scope of the mother tongue policy to resolve public apprehension. The policy is designed to reinforce foundational learning by utilizing local languages during a child's critical cognitive development years. The Honorable Minister for Education has asked me to clarify that the policy directive he announced on Friday regarding the compulsory use of mother tongue is a medium of instruction in our public basic schools is confined, emphasis confined to KG up to primary 3. He further summarized the scope to ensure no ambiguity remained. In other words, KG and lower primary, having clarified what seems to have giving a few persons sleepless nights. I bring you greetings, the Deputy Minister said. This means that while students from kindergarten to primary 3, lower primary will be taught primarily in their mother tongue, instruction will transition to English in upper primary, that's primary 4 and beyond. Meanwhile, education experts have commended the policy's potential, but warned that its success hinges on strong government support and resource mobilization. What was it?
Well, I mean, look, this discussion calls for further definition. But when we say the language of the child, or first language of the child, what do we mean?
The mother's language, we're told. Mother tongue.
Mother tongue. What does that mean? Listen, I come from Winneba. I'm an Efutu. And then I decide to marry from Upper West region and marry a Wala. I don't speak Wala. My wife doesn't speak Efutu. So we speak English in the house. The children born in the house, what is their first language?
Obviously English.
Sure.
So if you teach them Wala, how would Uncle Kwesi communicate with them?
No, English. So English becomes the medium of communication in the house because we allow intermarriages. Okay? That's one problem. Okay? That's one problem. Today, I find that the problem is not just about speaking English, but speaking a certain kind of English. Most of the young kids that I speak to, and I speak to a lot of young kids, I like to play with the kids and so on, ages 3 to 7, 8, 9, and so on. They speak American English. They don't speak British English. I don't know if you've noticed.
Right.
They slang. Okay? Why? Because we are introducing all of these kids to iPads. That's their common toys. Okay? All of these iPads, or most of them, are in English. The games they play are in English. They use American English and so on. So they get used to American English.
Obviously, you've even left out the cartoons that they watch.
Great, great, better.
Yeah.
So we are not producing cartoons for children. We are not producing all of these games and so on. So the children are growing up in our homes, even without educational policy and so on, as Americans. That's the truth. Now, I insist that language is part of culture. And as we all do know, culture is a very dynamic phenomenon. You understand? So it's constantly changing. Now, what makes culture, including language, change so constantly? Again, the base is production. The base is production. We don't have a lot of expressions in P for science because we are not developing in science. So those who develop the theories in science and so on, they use their language to describe what they have invented and so on, and we use them. So production is at the base of the development of language. Historical interactions. I'm supposed to be a Fanti, okay? And research has been done which suggests that a lot of words in Fanti are Portuguese. How did that happen? Pano, for example, is
Tabo.
Tabo, pano is Portuguese, and so on. Okay? So this dynamic nature of language is important to recognize. If you don't produce, if you don't develop, and so on, your language will die. So the problem is that we are not producing, we are not contributing to scientific development, and so on. Not too long ago, we produced 2 vehicles in Ghana, University of Science and Technology. One was called Adum, and one was called Wafu. They became West African sensations. So people driving Wafu in Nigeria and Togo and so on became familiar with the word Wafu, which meant helper, and so on. You understand? Because it was something tangible they could touch and deal with. Wafu and so on. Now today, every year, do you know that the dictionary is revised? And I've been following that trend. Do you know that Kosciuszko is now in the English dictionary?
Yeah, it's been there. It's been there for a long time.
How did it get there? Jollof is in the dictionary, English dictionary, and so on. How did it get there? Okay? So for those of us who are interested in the maintenance and development of our indigenous languages, we should be aiming at production. Okay? The productive relations and so on contribute to the sustenance of language and its development. It doesn't happen because the minister has issued a fiat. That's not what happens. It doesn't happen because the minister has issued a fiat. Now, there are also very practical difficulties. One of them is simply the fact that in Ghana, yesterday I was talking to Professor Ejekum of the University of Ghana.
Openyi Ejekum. He was my lecturer, actually. When I was in school.
Linguistics. He's a professor in linguistics. And I was talking to him. And I was telling him that I'm told that there are 76 different languages in Ghana. He said, no, it depends on how you count it. And that some have counted between 80 and 90 languages in Ghana, a country with a population of 35 million.
Wow.
So if you insist on instruction in local languages, you are going to have to choose from 90 different languages. How do you do that? 90 different languages. How do you do that?
It's not practicable.
That's a problem. Now, if you insist on using the local languages as medium of instruction and so on, it means that you also have to have the facilities for teaching the languages. They're going to have 90 faculties for teaching local languages alone. It's an absurdity. Okay? What are we going to do? Teaching. Today I'm told that one of the difficulties that the Ghana Education Service has in teaching Ghana is that there are simply not enough Ghana teachers.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? Then there is the general attitude, which is very important. Tell anybody that you are going to do your master's in Twi. What is the attitude to that? If you told somebody that you were doing your master's in physics, the attitude to that is substantially different from when you tell people that you are doing your master's in Dagari.
Fact.
Because we tend to think that it's the less endowed student who studies local language. Even if you tell somebody that you are doing your master's in German, and you tell the same person that you are doing your master's in Wali or whatever, the attitude is different. We haven't changed that attitude. That backward attitude of looking down on language studies, local language studies, has not changed. Okay? So that itself also ought to change before we can use local languages as mediums of instructions in our schools and so on. Now, there's another problem. How do you choose languages which should be taught in the schools? You're calling for war. You're calling for war. Take Greater Accra. No, not Greater Accra. Accra proper. The population of Accra proper, the last time I checked, was around 4.5 million. How many of them speak Ghana? And yet the argument is made that because Ghana is the indigenous language of the owners of the land, you have to teach Ghana in Accra. How many people in Accra have Ghana as their mother tongue or first language?
Which of the Ghans do you teach? Because they are...
Oh, Master, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that.
Which of the guns do you teach?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I mean, there was an attempt by some academics, to codify, is it codify? I'm not sure that's the right word. But P, to standardize P so that it can easily be taught. They were at it for 5 years, they couldn't. Because P, there are various variations of P. Which one do you teach? That's war. You understand? So if you went to some of the cosmopolitan areas and so on, the decision as to which language to teach in that area is not easy. The people speak 30 languages in that small area. Which one are you going to teach and which one are you not going to teach? So it's a very complicated subject. I believe, and I still support, for us to look at the possibility of developing a common language for Africa. This has been discussed over and over again. And it was suggested at some time that we should either adopt Kiswahili. At that time they said Swahili, now they say Kiswahili, and so on. Or Hausa. I thought it was going to bring about more integration and so on. But we couldn't. Now we couldn't because even in language, the principle of interconnectedness, which some describe as dialectics, works. You can't live in a society where the politicians are out there campaigning for votes on the basis of what language they speak and introduce a unifying language. That's a contradiction there.
Yeah.
The politician goes out there to campaign and he says, vote for me because I speak your language. So, it raises the question of language beyond just a means of communication to political identity and so on. And if you do that, you make it more difficult, impossible, to do what the minister wanted us to do, or perhaps still wants us to do, and so on. So it's complicated, and I think that we should have meaningful discussions, discussion. Something happened which is important. The minister makes this pronouncement, and the next day or a few days later, Cabinet actually issues a detailed instruction about how policy decisions should be communicated. Now, Cabinet did not say that it was reacting to the minister, but the public impression is that Cabinet may have been reacting to the minister. That itself raises another problem. Has the minister the authority to be making such policy pronouncements? Of course, Cabinet says no. And who do we listen to, Cabinet or the minister? Now, to the extent that the deputy minister had to come and polish what the minister said, or explain what the minister said and so on, shows that there was a problem about communicating that policy, which shouldn't have arisen. I mean, this is a major policy. And before you implement it, you have to go through, you understand? You have to go through the maze and come to conclusions which are acceptable to the teacher unions, acceptable to us as citizens, acceptable to your own cabinet, and so on. We have to have a roadmap for implementation, which would ensure that if my children are being taught Fanti in Kotobabi, it will not offend indigenous Gans who may storm the school. You understand? In order to prevent the teaching of Fanti and so on. How do you make sure that these backward politicians, extremely backward politicians, who still hang on ethnicity, language, and so on for their campaigns, how do we contain these extremely backward politicians? That's an issue. So it's not that simple. I think it's far more complicated than we make it sound. You know.
Could you accept to say that the philosophy undergirding the policy decision is not a bad one, is it?
No, it's
to
not,
get the
but
children
as
to
we've
grasp
all
it much better when they are much younger.
But as we've all agreed, there's a bigger consensus that has to take place. There is a bigger decision that has to be made. There is a capital expenditure that has to be appropriated.
Yeah.
There is a lot that goes into not just issuing a caveat or just saying. You see, sometimes politicians think that by just saying something, it can be said and it will be said. And it will be done. By just saying something, it will be done. It's not that simple. I mean, many a times the presidents have even said something. Then you go to the ministry and the ministry have not even worked on it. So then it now comes from the presidency. Then the ministries are trying to run hectare to basically fit a policy to what the president have said. It shouldn't be like that. It should come from the policymakers. They need to judge or make to put in place before there's an announcement of that policy. The minister making that statement is, for me, I think, yes, it's an intent that we've all talked about for so many years, that there is the need to teach something, right? Today, like I said earlier to you when we are not on air, tree is no longer taught as a subject in Legon, right? It's only taught as a model. So you have to go to some universities and it's not even a standalone subject. And gradually, we are moving away from some of the core languages that we had before. You know, before we only had GBC, and you have news in Gadagbe or Dagomba. And some of those things were the times that you now see that GBC was doing something for other community in other languages. Today, there are multi-TV stations that doesn't even treat any of these languages. So, look, we need to do a lot more consensus building and also make sure that the funding is available for translation of textbooks and developing of materials to teach and all that. So I think for me, I wouldn't want to spend much time, but the cybersecurity thing is a key thing for me today. I just want to touch on it.
But let me just make one small point, you know. And Moro, is this.
Yes, sir.
The introduction of private radio. Do you see the extent to which it has contributed to enriching local languages and promoting local languages? Unbelievable. That's the area of production.
Right.
Today, every politician is struggling to speak Twi and to speak some local language. You know, I tell you this. When I met my very good friend, Okudato Ablakwa, he couldn't speak Ebe.
Okay.
He couldn't speak Ebe.
What does he speak?
He spoke only English. He couldn't speak Twi. But with the speed of lightning, because it became necessary for him to pursue his politics and so on, he now speaks fluent Ebe and speaks fluent Twi in a short space of time.
Right.
So necessity compels us to learn local languages and to use them. Look, when I went to school in Sakasaka Primary School in Tamale, I could speak Dagbani. Today I can't speak Dagbani anymore. Even if you master a language, you can lose it. I can't speak Dagbani anymore when I used to speak Dagbani when I was very, very young. You understand? My Ewe is deteriorating so fast because I don't practice it. Okay? So it is not about what we teach in the schools, but how we conduct life
around it,
especially around the question of production.
Let me just read a few messages that have come through, and this one here from So Reverend Jose Latte is a regular viewer of the show. He's based in the UK. He says, good morning. The city is 60 years. I'm 72 years old. The first city and coin reminds me of dictatorship in Ghana. When a living president puts his head on a currency, it is called dictatorship. Finally, the UK pounds is not rubber, but plastic. It is washable. Okay. And so I support the compulsory teaching of local languages in our primary schools. Let me give you a case study. Nikwe went to a primary school at Lashby. His parents are Ga. They speak Ga at home. Nikwe brings Twi homework. The parents who don't speak Twi or read Twi, how can they help Nikwe to do his Twi homework? For anyone to ask what Ga to be taught does not understand that there is a standard Ga that was taught as far as Odumasi Krobo and in Sawam. Ga must be taught in all Accra schools. Fanti must be taught in the central region. Dagbani must be taught in the northern region. Reverend, it's not as simple as that, though.
I beg you, let me tell Reverend something.
Reverend Joslati.
In the public service and the civil service, workers are transferred.
Right.
You understand? The transfer, is it based on the language you speak? Is it based on the language you speak? So it is possible to transfer a couple from Accra to say where? To somewhere in the Brahafo region. So who are Ghanaians? It will not be, Ghana will not be the first language of their children. What should they be taught in the Brahafo region?
Let me also read this one. So Mark Kojo-Boafo, your very good friend, who is also watching us from the States, he says that, okay, so he sends an earlier message. It's still on this $200 matter. He says you would need $200 in cash to pay for the visa on arrival in Ghana, typically payable to the Ghana Immigration Service at the airport. Now, the standard fee is $150 for this specific process, but it is crucial to have the cash ready as other payment methods may not be accepted. And it says currency, the payments must be made in cash as in US dollar. Location, payment is made in Pesi at the Kotoka International Airport upon arrival. Amount of fees, the fee is typically $150, but confirm the exact amount before hand. And he continues to say that so his next submissions are the mother tongue. So mother tongue is the first language a person learns from birth or early childhood, often called their native language. It is a language they are most comfortable with and use most often. The terms come from the idea that a mother is a primary caregiver who transmits the language, though in modern usage, it can refer to any primary caregiver or the language spoken most frequently in the home. That's from Mark Kojo-Boafo. This one here from Master Planner Junior, Policy Analyst from Kintampo. It says, good morning, Mr. Moro. The Education Minister should have called all headmasters to instruct them to enforce decent haircuts in schools. He shouldn't have championed that agenda. For now, we should focus more on fulfilling the promises they made to Ghanaians, especially teachers. He should check NDC's manifesto, page 99. They promised to pay teachers in rural areas 20% allowances, cancel national service for teacher trainees, cancel licensure exams for teachers and post-trainees just after completion. All these things are not done, and teacher trainees are still sitting at home, although they are done with national service and licensure exams. Channel your energy there now and spare our ears with haircuts matter. Master Planner Junior, Policy Analyst from Kintampo. Sam Aku Kelly sends a message from East Legon. He says, good morning, Moro. Concerning the issue of teaching our local languages in lower primary schools, I think we're just trying to fix what is not broken. Have we come to any verifiable conclusion that children who started with English are not doing well in school? Why don't the children be taught by their mother tongue at home while teachers do a mixture in school? I think we may be delaying the picking up of English if we go ahead with this policy. Now, Prince Henry from Koforidua says, good morning, and says we just need to stop politicizing education in this country. So is the MPP enjoying the seed appreciation or the reduction of fuel? I'm asking because the MPP hasn't, okay. Prince Harry, your message is not connected to what we're talking about. Musa Batwa in Asawasi says, I strongly support the Education Minister, Honorable Haruna, on this stance regarding haircuts and molding in schools. Discipline, grooming, and respect for cultural values are integral parts of our education system. Our culture and heritage must be respected and preserved. My regards to Chief of Staff Julius Debra. Now, Bulldog, very popular. In fact, it's now Bull God. I think it's Bulldog, Bull God, I think so, yes. He has also sent a message, and Bulldog is very popular within the entertainment industry, one of the entertainment, stalwarts or giants in this country. Now, he says that, bro, it's sad what cutting your hair has got to do with studying. In any case, can't we get a uniform hairstyle? For instance, we can set a rule where people with hairstyle in it, when it's in cornrows or something. God, sorry, if you can come again with your message, I want to really get a deep understanding of what you're saying. Now, Gideon, uniformity, yes, with hairstyle, yeah. So Gideon Hammond, he sends a message and says that I disagree passionately the assertion that there are not enough Ga teachers. My brother, the very few ones who graduate from the training schools are sent to other regions to teach a different subject. I mean, how? In predominantly Ga communities, you transfer our country teachers to that Ga community. And then finally, Prosper Ashikwe from Asalam Down says, Uncle Kwesi spoke my mind. He said virtually everything I'd wanted to send. We can only transition gradually. It might not happen in the next decade or two, but there'll be dramatic changes if we make a policy. We make it a policy and a priority. Parenting would play a very big part in the advent of the depletion of parenting amidst business and all. Ego hard, but we have to start from somewhere. Dennis Gla, who's an event organizer, says, let me borrow the word of Uncle Kwesi Pratt this morning. I think the problem with the CD is the aesthetics. Why not have the CD in one color than the different colors we have now? That in itself is causing color blindness. All right, so please stay with us. Keep watching Good Morning Ghana. I'll be right back.
Start your kids' day the right way, filled with confidence to take on any challenge. Pepsodent Kids contains the right amount of fluoride and sugar acid protection to care for their developing gums and teeth. Grab either orange or strawberry so they brush with the sweet flavor they love morning and evening. Pepsodent Kids, giving your children a bright smile for a brighter future.
Me chechi woni nara me din e de baby da pa me di ade sonko kra na ebremo nya ode to aduane mo ama waduane e de pa na me de bremo eno any some spices dey emu wa no bebre o various flavors ubenya eya akoko ubenya nantwie ye de ku jollof mu ma emu ye de ubenya ne de ku nkwan ye de ku froye mu ho na kope bito na ema waduane enye de unyimi nia ye nkon ye konko tie nyankofo eka
Otando ye communication to ni o enjoy uduba that Samu spices. What in the essence no time. I think it Lariaga. Samu spices in a BTA daddy so say. Samu spices. Mun Samu spices. Nyama chicken.
Samu spices.
In Sanaka in Ketwa, measure 10 grams. Your chicken, spaghetti, garlic and ginger, stew, can jollof, any flavors, apple do bebre.
Samu spices. Yes, Saka.
FDIJ jadien kratwe yatum.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety, creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Chaco toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Chaco toothpaste. Kel Chaco toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo kendini, ehu behia, semecha sapapadia to amame manfo. Kel Chaco's natural ingredients, eno bomb se ho ban, e mane swing, ne sanso mama hotoso e wo bedwam.
Kel Chaco toothpaste. Choose Kel Chaco toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go feel the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
God Kwamio!
Send your God down for boom. If you put it to so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey.
Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, simple direction. Mr. Goodluck no check me well.
Yeah,
man.
Easy car. Or dial star 712 hash. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
I'm his birthday.
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompt. Yes. And then boom. Confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for Milky. I'm feeling like 7.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, do you have family payment? Before December, may release a motivational album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Aseye Atipui, a medical doctor by profession. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and as part of the celebration, Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM will be celebrating the day with free breast cancer screening and a general well-being check. I am therefore inviting you to the AMA Gardens in Accra Central near Tema Station on the 31st of October 2025. Come and get your breast checked and your general well-being check while you listen to good music and great vibes. Let us give hope to breast cancer survivors and breast cancer patients. Get your pink on and I will see you there.
You're still watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with Kojo Safuapoku, who is an energy expert, a member of the NPP. And yes, Kojo, you noticed that a lot of the newspapers today, in fact, when I saw it, I was a bit surprised because I heard it as, I thought it was a rumor. I mean, the last few weeks there's been talk about your former national chairman, Paul Afoko, wanting to stage a comeback and contest of national chairmanship position. And it looks like it's not like looks like, but it is indeed a reality now. About 6 or 7 newspapers have reported it. He's coming back and he wants to contest the national chairmanship position of your party. I don't know what you make of his comeback. So if you look at today's daily guide and it's there. He said his decision follows extensive reflection and encouragement from party members and stakeholders who are calling for renewed leadership within the NPP. Briefly, before we even look at the...
Well, I mean, I can see that you keep pushing my cyber security thing down the line. But
because we need time.
Don't worry, but I will see what I have to say. But quickly on the Afoko thing. Look,
okay.
Afoko was a chairman. What happened then happened. He was suspended. I don't even know if the party has reversed his suspension yet. I think the process is ongoing. Kwabena Japan's one was done. I don't know if his one is done. I'm not in the know of that.
It's been lifted. It was lifted a long time ago.
Okay, so
the general
but then there are a lot of things that goes into the whole process of having to come back and all that. Now that he's back, he wants to go back to the position that he held before. He has to campaign when the time is right. The delegate that existed then is different from the delegate that exists now. He would have to do the 276 constituencies, tell people his message, let people accept the vision he has going forward. And I think the delegates at the right time will choose who. Right? It's going to be a stiff competition, right? We had Honorable Boakye Agyapong wants to do it, Afoko wants to do it. There is the younger ones, which is the John Boadus and the likes. We've even gotten Mr. Edward Boateng, who also wants to do it, right? Edward Boateng from SIGA, former Chinese ambassador, also wants to. So the field is getting bigger. And I'm sure by the time we finish 31st January, the field will be much bigger, and look, at the right time we'll discuss it further. But
so for now, it's Boakye Agyapong, it's John Boydu, and then now Paul Afoko. Those are the three names.
Edward Boateng and Wontumi.
Edward Boateng?
Yes.
Oh, the former ambassador to China.
Former ambassador to China, yes. Wontumi and all the rest that are in there.
Oh, okay.
They all, but the field is going to get bigger after 31st January, I think. You know. But Moro, quickly.
No, let me get Kwesi Price. Just to a few minutes before you come in.
Don't
worry. I would do it. Kwesi, your quick thoughts on Paul Afoko.
Paul Afoko is a great friend of mine. I think that he understands politics very well. He used to be very closely associated with President Kufuor. What can I say? I wish him well. That's all.
Do you think he'll be a formidable person in the contest, given all that has happened with his exit and his return?
Well, I don't want to say things for which I'm not sure. I haven't done the calibrations well. I just heard about it this morning. He's a fine gentleman. He's a big thinker, you know. He used to be formidable in the New Patriotic Party. I don't know if he's still that formidable, especially given the fact that most of the people that he would have aligned with have left the party, you know. But I wish him well. I wish Paul well.
Okay, all right. Because, Kojo talks about the fact that the MPP of today is not the same MPP Mr. Paul Afoko left, and so he's wondering how Mr. Paul Afoko is going to make some inroads. And I don't know what you make of that.
Well, the MPP has changed tremendously. Since the days of Mr. Afoko, the MPP has changed tremendously. But you can act both ways. The fact that it has changed may also be the reason why people want to retrace their steps to the glorious days. You understand? So you can act both ways. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Kojo, you've been very interested, and we have just 7 minutes basically to end the show. You've been very passionate about this new cyber security law. I knew as in because it's been amended, and there have been some introductions to what already existed. You've been looking at the document because it was made public yesterday.
No, it's been made public longer.
Well, the details of it, because when it came up, we're all looking for the documents to read, and we were being told that it was being fleshed out and so on. But I think yes, the minority got wind of the documents because Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has been very vocal about it. You've been studying the documents. What do you make of it?
Well, look, the document as the amendment as proposed for me is problematic.
Why?
I'll get there. I think it is a social media policing act. It is basically to, through the back door, bring back the criminal libel law. My uncle Kwesi, the Haruna Tess, and the Kwesi Bakons fought these criminal libels, and 2001, President Kufuor came and repealed it. And today, we have an NDC government who has supermajority in parliament, and they want to, in a way, bring it back. Let me give you 2 sections of the amendment that are problematic. Section 20B. Okay. Section 20B basically says that the new amendment will give powers to the Director General and the Director General and all the other authorized officers to exercise powers like a police officer. Okay? Now, it says that they will also have the same rights, protection, immunity conferred on police officers under the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure 1960. So, under the Ministry of Communication and under the Cybersecurity Authority, they want to have powers like police. So, why would anybody want to pass a law that gives an agency, which is not the police, powers like police, all the amenities, then they're going to have Shiza. They're going to have the right to arrest. They're going to have a right. And the second part of it is that they're also seeking the power to prosecute. Okay, so they want to be able to go and also prosecute. Now, the section 59B says that the authority shall conduct criminal investigations, prosecutions upon occurrence of cybersecurity incidents or cybercrime. Now, the problem is not the cybersecurity. The problem is cybercrime. Because you have to go back and look at this amendment with two acts that already exist. The Electronic Communication Act 775 and the Electronic Transaction Act 772. Now, why some of us are saying that this act is a way to bring back the criminal libel law is that if you look at section 76 of the Electronic Communication Act 775, okay, that is where the problem is. And let me read what that section talks about. It talks about basically a person, and this is very important, and this is why I think everybody who's on social media, who is on TikTok, on Snap, on WhatsApp, should be very careful and not allow the government to pass this act. The offenses under the Electronic Communication Act, which is a law that's already been passed in 2008, says that in section 76, offense, a person who by means of electronic communication services knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of life, saving service, or to endanger safety of the person, ship, aircraft, vessel, vehicle, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not more than 3,000 penalty points or a term imprisonment of 5 years. The second part, a person is taken to know that a communication is false or misleading if that person did not take reasonable steps to find out whether the communication is false, misleading, reckless, or fraudulent. That is where the problem is. So you're looking at this area where you have an authority who is basically the investigator, the police, everything, using this crime. So you're on WhatsApp, you put out an information, right? Like the information you sent me yesterday. Clearly, you've committed an offense. And there's one agency that has all the powers to arrest you and prosecute you. That is the problem. Because today, we are now growing the social media space. Yes, there are certain things that goes on, but we have all the institutions in the country that deals with them. In all the best practices around the world, in the United States, in America, in the United Kingdom, in America, they don't have police force to an agency. The FBI have a criminal unit that deals with cyber. The UK have NSA that deals with cyber. Every country has in the police force a unit that deals with cybercrime and cybersecurity. Why does Ghana alone, the NDC government with its majority, wants to give St. George his own police? Why? And the problem is, you look at cyber, one of the cyber crimes is harassment, right? Online harassment. Now, what is online harassment? It's a very broad topic. So I send somebody a message and that person doesn't feel comfortable with that message, it classifies as harassment. Right. Straight away, St. George and his police can come and arrest me and put me in jail for 5 years. That is where the problem is. And I think that we should all look at this thing. Everything they seek to do already exists. Okay. Why give a police force to St. George?
Okay, in just 3 minutes, because in 3 minutes will take us off, but there are genuine concerns that if this bill is passed, it could be weaponized to stifle, digital expression and then dissent.
Well, I like to go back one step. When the Public Order Law was passed, it was passed in the era of the National Democratic Congress. And I think that at that time, nobody in the NDC dreamt that they would come into opposition someday. In 8 years or less, they were in opposition, and they were also subjected to the same public order law. I think we should have the same attitude to this cybersecurity bill and so on, and that people in power today ought to realize that they will not be in power forever, and that one day it will be applied to them. I haven't read the bill itself, but I've read a lot of commentary on the bill, and there is some worry that it can be abused. It can be abused. It would unnecessarily be policing cyberspace and so on. But as I said, I haven't read the bill itself. I need to read the bill itself before I can come to some conclusions.
Okay.
The most important thing is that being in government is not a permanent condition, and that those who are in government today need to think about when one day they may be in opposition. That's all.
All right. Uncle, thank you very much for
Then
your
they
time.
pass it with their majority, and we would basically advise ourselves and take a position as a party. And I think we'll repeal it when the MPP comes into power.
All right. So thank you very much.
I think we are going too fast.
We
are not there.
No, I'm just saying. They say they have supermajority.
And also, Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., an elderly statesman and also a seasoned journalist. Thank you very much for your time. It's been great having the two of you join us on the show this morning. And thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana. My name is Audu Moro. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Enua victory garlic mixture na wati ni bi na ate ni say na aduro ni tie na no kwasem ne say aduro we adwuma ye titiri pa ne say ebeboa ananna ne srade ewo ni badua ni muntin mu ama ohu atɔ kura de di kan obabi wo ho a okomfikyiri a ɛma aduro awu hia ye victory garlic mixture ebi kura wo bɛkɔ a ewie